All right. Hey, we're live. We are going to start our meeting. Let's get going. For a moment, I thought Ahmed that he actually had his video on, but it's just a well taken picture. Oh, all right. Was everybody else getting that echo? It's just me. Okay. Hey, so I'll remind everyone. This is the Meshery meeting, the weekly meeting that we have focused on advancing the project. A lot of times people that show up here are contributing to the project in some way, code or not code, doesn't matter. There's all kinds of ways to contribute. Sometimes we have people show up that are using Meshery very heavily. And for my part, I consider that's a contribution to the project as well. But yeah, we meet once a week and we record and post to YouTube the link to the meeting minutes that are being shared as of now is in Zoom chat. So if you look in the Zoom's chat, you'll find a link. You'll want to drop your name in here, unless you're too shy, then you're excused. Fair warning, we generally disallow shyness to happen because we acknowledge that if you're here, you're here to participate in whatever way that is. And one of those ways, though, is to get to know everybody else and to let them get to know you. So we generally awkwardly force you to introduce yourself for just a moment, at least that. So with that, a quick question for everybody. Is there anyone that's on the call who hasn't said hi on this call before, who hasn't introduced themselves? Now's your chance. It's just a 20
Hi, sir.
second. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm from India, Tamil Nadu. I'm fairly new to Meshery. I got through a need of mine where I was needed to deploy multiple nodes, and I was looking through open source software, and I found Meshery, and it was very helpful for my project. Thank you.
Oh man, that's great. That's great. And Arun Kumar, are you 62, Arun Kumar?
Yes, sir.
Alrighty, very good. That's great. Hey, good to have you. Thanks for breaking the ice too. That makes it easy for everybody else. All right. Hey, do we have other people on the call who would like to say hi?
Hello Lee and hello everyone. Myself Appa Reddy. I am from Hyderabad, India. So currently I'm working as a DevOps lead with 6 years experience, specialized into DevOps and DevSecOps, and taking care of day-to-day operations in my organization. And I came to know about Meshery and about you, Lee, through various videos and from different DevOps channels that I follow, mainly Cube Simplify. And yeah, I found it's interesting. Mainly I follow the CNCF tools, and those help me a lot in building things. For example, Longhorn, or as a storage solution, and Minivo, for replacing the S3. A lot of stuff, yeah. And I'm looking forward to learn more and continue growing myself and contributing to the DevOps uh, community, etc. Yeah.
Already. That's great. And I'm surprised that the that the terrible jokes from the other recordings didn't scare you off. So uh,
Okay. Yeah.
okay, fair enough. We'll keep them to a minimum. So that's good.
Yeah.
It's very good of you to jump on. This is great. It's great.
Thank you.
Today's
Thank you.
today's a great day to be on, by the way. Other people who are on the call for the first time, I want to say hi.
Hello. I am Ayan Mateen. I'm from North India, Leh Ladakh, and like I got to know about Layers 5 and Meshery from the CNCF website. Uh, and recently I joined the KubeCon as well. There I met one guy, Yash. He's also a maintainer and contributor of Meshery. So I'm here to contribute in the DevOps area, in the infra part. I'm looking forward for like opportunities to contribute. Yeah, thank you.
Oh, very good. Oh, very good. Very good. Um, you're in good company. This is great. This is good. Good to have you. I'm glad that you met Yash. So you were at the inaugural KubeCon India, which is that's fantastic. So you guys we're fresh off of that. Actually, I was hoping that we might talk a little bit about how things went at that KubeCon. And so we'll see if we can't get into that later in the agenda. Excellent. Okay, good to have you. Who else is new today? Hasn't been on this call before. Good. So Ashish, your last name is missing, so I'm not sure if you're one of the other 125 Ashishas that we've had on the call, or if you are new. Ashish, are you there? Can you say hi? If you can't, we end up you'll end up wanting to say hi inside of chat, in a Slack chat, if audio isn't working. And if that isn't working, we will politely dismiss you. This is a come to engage engagement. And so, Ashish, are you with us? You, Ashish. Say hi in the chat. I'll be checking. All right, great. Who else do we have? Anybody else new? Good. I see some very familiar names. All of the other names are familiar. Adarsh, you said hi before on the call, Mr. Shekhar. I think you have.
Hello,
Adarsh.
hi and everyone. I am Adarsh. I am in my sophomore year. I am eventually here to contribute to the web aspects of Meshery, and I will eventually move up to the DevOps part and cloud native part of Meshery as I'm new to that aspects. Like I'm currently learning Golang and backend stuff.
Sweet. Okay. Oh, very good.
Thank you.
All right. All right. Well, hey, we're if you haven't dropped your name into the meeting minutes, please do. Couple of announcements. If we could spell announcement, one of the things that's going to happen today, maybe I'll speak to this one, is what the project Meshery has been working on its .8 or V0.8 release for a long time. Actually, it's been right around a year since we released .7. The project has released all kinds of point releases in between over this last year. As a matter of fact, the project makes releases rather frequently. The .8 release, so it's been since last December. So it's a bit of a challenge trying to summarize all of the new features, all of the deprecated items. And anyway, there's a blog post up for review here. I won't bore everyone by looking at it, but I'll say, please go add your notes, highlight things that have been missed. In particular, what we would ideally have inside of a release announcement is, well, like really a bunch of links to docs where we've described various features, or we've described project internal initiatives where things have been improved, or things have been antiquated, or just, there's a lot that's happened over the years. So there's a lot of work that's been done in the Meshery playground this past year. All of those things, all of the activities that go on here are fodder for that blog post. We've welcomed any number of new maintainers as well. Those are also things to sort of recount since we've last released. Those are good things to include. So there's a lot. Okay. Just on this topic, I'm going to skip to just say on the topic of roadmap and releases, is to say, as we go to announce V0.8, it's time to be, in earnest, continue our planning on V0.9. So there's a link to an early draft of what that roadmap is. I'll click on this for just a moment. This particular post is collaborative in nature. So, please go make comments on it, or many of you have the permission to edit this post. We want to outline various areas of enhancement and various individuals that are signing up and are committed to delivering those features. Or I hesitate to always say features because it's not always about new features. Sometimes it's refining existing ones. Sometimes it's improving quality in an area. Sometimes it's improving performance in an area. But anyway, various functions are broken down. We'll be spending much more time on this. As we head into January. So, and we can do a lot of this asynchronously. I think there's an email thread that's been kicked off asking for comment and kind of and participation in this draft. All comments are welcome. All of the feedback is it's solicited and it's considered. If I just mentioned an email thread, and some of you might be wondering, hey, why you didn't see that email? Or maybe some of you have seen it. When you visit Meshery.io, you can go to Meshery.io/subscribe if you like, or I think it's just Meshery.io. If you cruise down toward the bottom, I think, yeah, there's a section that highlights a few different mailing lists that are used for the project. A lot of times, emails on the subject of roadmap or releases will a lot of times go out here. I don't know that there has been one sent, but any of you are welcome to initiate that, though. It would be good to get this conversation going in earnest. I'll pause. Any comments or questions on .8 that's about to go out, or .9 that's being planned for? Nice. Okay, good. Well, with that, I will try to take a back seat. You won't hear much of my voice, hopefully, for the remainder of the call. We've got a lot of the rest of you. Oh, gosh, I guess I've got one other thing. Just let me get this out of the way really fast. So one of the things that we do is the Meshery is part of the CNCF. Obviously, we were initially adopted into, the project was initially adopted into the CNCF, into the Technical Advisory Group Network, or TAG network. And within that, within TAG network, a lot of the maintainers end up being quite busy. And one of the recent events or happenings is very relevant to Meshery as a project. Something that's occurred most recently is a proposal for an ontology working group. And that word ontology has it's multisyllabic, which, can be a challenge for me sometimes. And you have larger words that you don't usually use. Anyway, what's being called for here is to pull together a working group to focus on something that Kubernetes is missing. And actually, if you think about what I'm about to say and you disagree, please disagree. Maybe I'm thinking of it incorrectly. Kubernetes is missing a consistent way of characterizing relationships in between components or in between resources. So different types of resources, you can express a relationship between them. Maybe something like a Kubernetes service, and the fact that traffic might come into a Kubernetes service, and that traffic might get directed to a Kubernetes deployment. Great. You might use labels and selectors to help identify the relationship between this service and this deployment. Great. That characterization of a relationship through selector labels and selectors isn't universal for all the resources within Kubernetes, not only for the standard resources, but the custom resources that come through. And so this particular working group is trying to tackle that challenge of helping express in a standard way how it is that different resources interrelate, or what maybe that they don't interrelate. So it's not so please review, comment, think about it. How does this relate to Meshery? Well, Meshery models all the infrastructure under management, and it's able to do that and characterize all these resources very well because the Kubernetes API is very well written. There's this Kubernetes resource model, KRM. And so Meshery leverages those long descriptions of what a resource is, like what a pod is. It leverages that to manage all the entities, manage all the infrastructure. It also is trying to help people understand how different resources relate to one another, whether or not there's a dependency upon one another, whether or not traffic is allowed to flow or is not allowed to flow, or there's lots of types of relationships. So Meshery benefits from this proposed working group. So if this topic interests you, it's an opportune time to get involved and make a mess because it's just getting started. All right, very good. Well, why don't we switch to a couple of other topics? Is Abid with us? Yeah, he is. Abid, I wonder if you spend a fair bit of time working on this Meshery extension canvas. Do you want to take us through some updates? There was a big release this week.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. After that, I think we've got Jaren's is on the agenda.
Yeah, so those of you who are familiar with one of Mesh's extensions, that's Canvas, like it helps you with visualizing and orchestrating your infrastructure. So previously in this extension, Canvas, we had like two modes where you could either design your infrastructure and orchestrate it from there, or you can go into like their mode was called visualize mode. So from that, you could do the imperative DevOps to your infrastructure. So recently we have been trying to enhance that mode, and which led to a big gradual migration to this new operate mode, which you can, if you jump into the extension, which can be directly found from here, which called Canvas, you would find like there are two modes, the designer mode and the operator mode. If you jump into the operator mode and you have any clusters connected using meshing, which is a custom controller inside the mesh operator, it would ingest your data from your cluster, and using in this mode you can then visualize. Actually, it's sorry, like I don't know why the active clusters for me are not working, so there's no data for me in meshing. But if the clusters were active, you would see all of your elements inside your resource inside your cluster. They would be visualized in this kind of similar manner. It's inside the design view, and then you could do stuff on your resources, like you can create terminal sessions to it. You can log your check logs of your resources, or you can maybe like initiate performance tests on your resources like services. So and what's another big benefit of it is that you can like these custom views that you want on your cluster, like how if you have a custom view of, like if you want to see some more pods with some specific labels that you want to debug, or like any, like if you are only interested in some resources inside your cluster, you can then create these custom views and filters that you can then share and collaborate with. So I can get into this view, so which is now active, and anybody else who is inside this view would be on like the same view, and we could just like debug the same thing together, and we know like what everybody is pointing to. So this is now also, like as I said, like collaborative, similar to the design mode, because previously design mode was collaborative. You can collaborate on a design, but same thing was not with the visualizer, but now in the new operate mode is completely collaborative, so you can all be on the same view and debug the same stuff and know like what everybody is pointing to. And there, this also led to some enhancements to the already the implementation of like the most of the APIs responsible for this in Meshy. So these are located inside like under the mesh sync prefix. So those APIs are also getting enhanced, and more operators features will be also added to Meshy. So if you anybody who's interested in managing their clusters and visualizing them can directly like upload the kube config and start like visualizing their clusters directly. Any questions or anything you want to ask specific?
Yeah, very good. Just as a quick high-level recap, you were saying that Meshery has this extension, Canvas. It's a visualizer, a collaborative one. There's two modes. This designer mode, in which maybe you take and drag and drop a Helm chart or a Kubernetes manifest, or you just and so you start configuring your infrastructure and doing it visually, and therein actually the relationships that we were just talking about. Like, here's an example of those. Great, that's one mode. The mode that you were just referring to is this other mode where you're not so much interested in the like the design and configuration as much as you're interested in the like connecting it to existing clusters and having it visualize those same elements. Okay, good. That makes sense. You were saying, hey, you can create a view. Maybe it's collaborative within here. Anyway, there's a number of features like connecting to opening up a web-based terminal, connecting to your pods. Good. Okay. That makes sense. So Abid, I have to say, so there's this dock down here. And compared to the designer mode, and this thing's replete with buttons and options. And do you know, do any of those make sense to be over here? Or they're just plans for new features?
Yeah, one of the features that we are tracking is like adding support for having annotations inside the operate mode, so you could add comments inside your view. So if you have found something interested, you might just note that down directly inside that view or comment with people. So most of these annotation might be also supports inside view. So those would be added, and there is also like specific things that would be like about operator that might be there added. So things like maybe like port forwarding, and also like the terminal sessions and other things, they would be enhanced and be dockable and be put on the dock and managed from there, so that it would have some more stuff in future.
Okay. I'm with you. Okay, annotations.
Yeah.
So some of these aren't managed infrastructure. They're just ways of marking up your designs so that you better, so you can understand it a little bit better. Okay. So some of these then might show up in this other mode. Okay, I'm with you now. But thanks for letting me ask some questions. Do other people have questions or comments on this operate mode? All right, fair enough. So we're back to the meeting minutes, if I could find them. And I think our next, we've got about a little over half the meeting time left. And what we do have is Jaren's Lenson. If I can find the meeting minutes, my goodness. Jaren's is going to share. This is not them. I give up. I can't find them. Anyway, hey, Jaren's, are you with us? You're going to take us through end-to-end testing and how that's done inside of Meshery using Playwright.
I am starting
Oh, great. Okay.
my screen. So here we have a documentation for the end-to-end test case. So if you wonder, I will send to the chat. So basically, to run the end-to-end test, there are like a prerequisite you need. One is a Messery account, a compatible browser, and then all of like Golang, Node.js, and Makefile. And for Docker-based build, you are optional to using it, but it's better to run them in the local because it's faster, and you need also like Kubernetes faster and some adapter which up and running for several test case. So for the remote provider and the user account and user email is required. This both required to be able to do login. And yeah, here's so basically I like to run the Messery first, like I use like make UI build and build server. So this will like rebuild like the both UI and your provider. For this one is go build the binary file for the Golang. So in case like I use pull the change for the message server, I just need to run this again. If I need to there a change just for the UI, I just need to run this and just run the server binary for faster build time. So yeah, this will need to specify what. Yes. So in
Good.
context of which environment I'm using, I'm using like Arch Linux for the WSL. So this is will be unsupported device for me. So I need to run like the playwright in the Docker container, and it will like setting up a Docker playwright using like a WebSocket. So this is how you run the Docker run for setting up. For Docker, yeah, for Docker, you need to pull the image from the playwright in the Azure Container Registry, and then you can run this command. So basically, you would run the playwright server on the WebSocket connection, and after that, you need to use like the witness. Oh, here, so yeah, you need to use pv connect WebSocket endpoint to be able to run the Docker command. Here.
Yeah. Jarens, I wonder if I could interject for just a second, just to help give everyone context to make sure that everyone's kind of on the same page. So Meshery manages all kinds of infrastructure. It has all kinds of features. It's a big project. In order to ensure that all of its features and functions continue to work, it undergoes many tests. There are different types of tests that it undergoes. One of those types is what is referred to as an end-to-end test, which is more or less to say that the end-to-end tests try to mimic what a user will do. So in these end-to-end tests, we automate mouse movements. We deploy a temporary instance of Meshery built from the latest code, mimic how a user might move their mouse around and click on various components in Meshery UI, and then we expect a particular behavior. And so largely the tooling that we use to help facilitate that is an open source tool called Playwright. Playwright helps us helps us run those tests. And so there's more to it than just Playwright. And we recently sort of migrated from Cypress as a tool to Playwright as the main tool. And so Jarens is kind of walking us through what that framework looks like, because it's Playwright plus some automation inside of our workflows and plus an understanding of how it is that what tests are being run, what features are being are under test, what test cases there are, how we track their status, what constitutes a flaky test or a stable test, and there's kind of there's a lot in there. What are best practice authoring tips for writing tests, end-to-end test cases? There's a ton of things in here, and Jaren's is that's what Jaren's is taking us through. So Jaren's, I just figured I'd make sure everybody was following along, and so we're recording today so that people can not only watch right now but come back and contribute to the project by way of end-to-end tests. Good. So the first page that you brought up was the contributing to Meshery end-to-end tests, and it talks about all what you need to do to set up, not only to build Meshery as you might for contributing to some other part of Meshery, but also a couple of other tools that you need to set up for end-to-end testing to help participate in this area. And so that's exactly what you're walking through right now. Then that's great. Yeah, please continue.
Also, we have like a testing policy. So I will start with basically like currently we have like testing both like we have two provider. One is the local and one is the Messery provider, which you can selecting when you first before you log in. And provider. So basically you have to choose between Messery and local provider. We test against both. So if there are specific case for either like Messery provider or non-provider, if you run like specific test case, you need to provide here like the fixture, you call the fixture first and passing it through the test case and check. So this is the case when you want to run the test use only for Messery provider. This when you run for the local provider one. You can customize this, and also for testing policy, we have like unit for every new test to ensure like the consistency the test to make sure all the test is stable because before it's marked as file test when it filed we put this tag for the new upcoming every new test case to mark them in case like so it will give like a warning sign instead of the error sign if you see in here. Yeah, it's supposed to be warning sign. All of the test is marked as unstable. And yeah, for the beginning GitHub action here, also documentation, you can walk through it. And yeah, basically, yeah, you're just going to check the test detail and download it from here, from the summary tab. And you can able to download your pilot report and going through the test trace, and you can able to debug it further. Just upload like the zip file after you extracting it. Will give all the info like what happened there, like this. But sometimes it just give it. So error connection reviews is mean like it can be able to going to these pages. Yeah, there are no connection on these pages. And so we have also like a test status for, so basically it currently it manually trigger from the Messenger extension packet, but currently I think like all the test is filing there because like we dropping the test ID for the view toggle when you like open the view panel and closing it. So it's because it's like critical to all the test case. So dropping it will make all the test file and everything. So yeah.
Abid, there's a question in chat that might be good to raise up.
Yeah, from Ian. So if I'm right now, the way we categorize tests between unstable and stable is we all of the tests that we have written down, we see like which ones were mostly flaky. So we have manually tagged them with like the unstable and stable tag. So it's done manually. So the tests that we realize need some more work and finesse to be actually reliable. So we have added the unstable tag to them. And yeah, those are the tests that we like. I think Janus previously promoted some of the tests from that unstable suit to be stable, which were eventually fixed. So yeah, those are part of the focus to be made into stable. So this is just the tests are a bit flaky. Maybe we're not checking some edge cases properly, or we are not using locators properly. So that's mostly the reason for those unstable tests. And yeah, that's a focus to be promoted to be stable and to be reliable, because right now we can't rely on them. It's just like we are not deleted them, but otherwise they are not reliable or anything. And does that answer?
Yeah, thank you.
Jarens, do you have anything else to add to that? So if I were to regurgitate that real quickly, that would be that the promotion from flaky to stable, or from, is a judgment call based on I'm trying to think of a word other than stable, like based on the stability, based on the consistency of a particular test case passing, continuously, time over time over time over time. And then at some point, Jaren's, I know that as the initial 20 or more test cases have been written, that they all went through a period of passing, failing, passing, kind of passing, failing, being maybe a little bit flaky, and then eventually stabilizing. Is there anything else that you can add to characterize this? Like if there's a particular point of demarcation that some metric that you'd used, or some tips on stability and how to get tests to become stable?
Also, I'm using like a test trace a lot because there are a lot of case when like the test happen to be fine locally, but when you throw it on CI, it will get like filing, because like in CI, one of the case is like you have like a 100 cluster, I think. Let me check one of can find. Um, mm, mm. Yeah, basically like because like in the CI it's detecting like 100 cluster, so that's why it's contribute to the same like unstable test. So I always like just try to using the trace a lot, because yeah, sometimes it's just error on the CI. Like if you see here, I can zoom it a bit. Okay. After if you see like the number of cluster there is like a lot, so that's why also it's very unstable there. So yeah, always like try to debug here using the trace in case like it's working normally in your local. Any question?
I get, maybe I have two quick ones. Sounds like the playwright trace, like the logs of the test, can be quite helpful in trying to figure out why something is failing, why a test case is failing, or why it's being flaky, where it could be improved. That .zip package, it looks like you're able to upload those to trace.playwright.dev and have them interpreted and visualized so you can kind of walk through the logs. That's great. The as a Meshery pull request is, or as a pull request is open on Meshery, and these playwright tests or these end-to-end tests are run, the results of them, these traced files, are those commonly affixed to the pull request itself so that anyone can go and download this zip file, upload it, and introspect it? Or is this only available if you're running the tests locally?
Oh, it's happen on the CI. Like I mentioned on docs how to download it if you want. So here in the summary tab, if you go here, you'll get like the trace file, and you just need to extract it and upload the file to the Playwright test. There's also have like a video on the trace as well. Mm, mm, no. Always have a trace and a video some. So yeah, you can download it from the GitHub action. So it's on the artifact in the summary tab on the GitHub action, as mentioned on the docs here.
Nice. So yeah, for a particular pull request, if whether it's, I guess whether the test cases have passed or failed, usually you're interested when in these test results and these trace logs when a test case fails. So, but you sounds like you'd go to the end of the workflow. At the bottom, there would be a few artifacts, build artifacts attached. One of those is this trace file or trace archive, trace zip. Download, use okay. If selfishly, if I might toss in one other question, well, this is gonna be a terrible question because you're actually going through it right now, but maybe I'll just state it out loud just for my own understanding. And that is that that all of the pull requests that are opened against any of the most of the repos in the Meshery project, specifically the Meshery repo, they'll have these end-to-end tests invoked against them. And if someone wants to help contribute to these tests, either refining existing test cases or adding new test cases, well, one, you had pulled up a spreadsheet or maybe earlier that lists out like what test cases are needed, like what features have coverage and which ones don't. So maybe you'll be getting to that in a little bit. But to the extent that I'm developing a new test, I just follow along in that guide that you were showing, right? So I install Playwright locally, make sure I've got Node installed, Golang installed, run and build. So I think for a lot of people who've contributed to the build process for Meshery, they've found that it can be difficult to try to invoke workflows locally, to try to have that same environment locally. I don't think but I don't know that that's such an issue for the end-to-end tests. Am I characterizing that correctly, Jarens? Like if people want to execute all of the end-to-end tests on their local machine, the instructions that you're covering now, that's the same thing that occurs inside of a pull request, right? With respect to end-to-end tests.
Pull request.
Nice, good. I'm getting head nods from Abid. So that's good.
This one,
Cool. Good. Okay. I mean, that's a really nice, it's really nice because some of the other workflows, some of the other jobs that execute inside of GitHub workflow aren't necessarily always easy to replicate locally. And that can make it a challenge for people to contribute to our Meshery's build and release process, to Meshery's CI process. That isn't the case for working on end-to-end tests. So that will make
Yeah, the GitHub action use the same make targets. Like there's, I think, make target for running the test directly from the machine, so you can directly run. It's just you need to set up Playwright, and it's like it has to download some browsers to get up and running. So just need to do it once, and after that, it's reproducible and same thing.
And Jarens, are there other aspects of this that you wanted to convey?
uh, for the test plan.
Yeah, the test plan
Yeah.
would be great.
We have covered for all the performance tests, almost all. So currently we have like around almost all done. What?
Nice. So contributors or people on the call or people who are watching this later, if they're looking to get their hands dirty with enhancing a test case that we already have, I'm sorry, enhancing I shouldn't say test case, like each row in here is a test case. Each row in here says, here's a certain particular situation. Here's the test to be performed and the expected outcome. So like column G is like the test to be performed, and column H is what we expect to happen. And so tons of tests. Now it looks like column K, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, column J, K. I can't see the column name, so anyway, the column name, I'm sorry, column K is identifies whether or not that particular test case is covered by an automation, by an ETE test. And if you were to scroll up and down on the spreadsheet, Jarens, would we expect to find a lot of blank? Let me answer my own question, maybe. So I think Jarens will be back. I think we just lost him. If you all were to take a peek at the test plan, here's that same spreadsheet. I was just curious for those of you who might want to dig in, column K identifies where each of these test cases are. I can't think of another word other than test, where each of these test cases are tested. And lots of blanks here, which means lots of help needed. Second point to this is that statement sort of assumes that all of the features of Meshery are written down in these use cases. Nope. There are at least just as many that things that Meshery does that are not captured here. So there's just all kinds of opportunity for people to make their mark on the project. Jarens, are you back with us? If he's back. questions or other comments on this, now's your chance. Now's actually your chance because Jaren's is he is stepping away from the project. His focus is being pulled elsewhere, and so pick his brain while his brain is here. Also, there's going to be a number of people who are going to be digging in fresh. So now is a good time to be asking those same questions for everyone else as well. So this is the best resource right here, I think, to get started and to understand. Cool. Okay. Ian, any other tips that you might want to call out as we go to close off this topic?
No, I think Jaren's did a good job. Thanks for that little training session. I'm sure there'll be more questions as, like you said, a lot of new people start to dig in here, but hopefully we can carry the high mark that Jaren's made for us all. So thank you, Jaren. Appreciate it.
Nice. All right. We've got about 5 minutes left. And next up on the agenda, did Yash Sharma join us today?
Nope.
Nope. Okay. So we might cover QCon India another time. We do have Lawrence who's up next. Lawrence, you want to talk to us about the Golang upgrade happening on the project?
Yeah, I just want to make sure I'm on the right track because I'm pretty new to Go and Cloud Native. So what I did is this is I cannot modify this in the source code. So
Yeah. Good. I'm going to do it right now while everybody's watching and while you're kind of presenting your topic.
basically, I just modify the version of Go in the go.mod file and the other workflow files, and I run like go mod tidy, go mod verify, and go list /mo. And when I tried the go list -mo, I got an invalid version of a dependency. So I grabbed the latest version of it, and yeah, so you can see the file changes of what are being changed, and I just for the next step is to build a. I'm asking like the next step is to build the mesh kit locally and replace it with the one in the Meshery server and test it. This is what I'm asking.
Unless anyone else has a different direction to offer, yeah, that's just about perfect. There's a couple of other things that you could do. One is to go test works. Make a server is kind of the go-to command for building Meshery server. So that's certainly a good one to invoke. With respect to the Meshery adapters, which are also in need of being upgraded, similar to the centralized library that we call MeshKit, there's another central library. It's something of a child of MeshKit called the Meshery adapter library. Each adapter has common functions, and those common functions are put into that library. And so this library is also in need of being updated, sort of as one of those first steps, particularly with respect to adapters. But yeah, what you're doing is on the right path.
Okay, that's good.
One thing that we might want to do, this and not having this upgraded becomes a blocker for you. Now, there's one of two ways that we can go about making sure that this is not a blocker. One is we can add, for each individual repo, we can add a repo specific variable that would override the global org level variable. Or we can, the second way to do it is to get rid of this secret and just explicitly highlight the Golang version number in the workflow itself. Why was this ever made a secret in the first place? It was made a secret to, not to keep it secret, it was made a secret to centrally define and sort of dictate what version of Golang would be used across all the workflows, and to be able to go and update it conveniently in one location. As it turns out, it is convenient to update in one location if you're ready to update it. And Lawrence is helping us get there, and so is Hamed. He's helping us get there. Sorry, Hamed. I have to think about how to say that H. I'm trying to do it very well. It's very convenient to change it in one location, but if we're not quite sure that everything's going to work just yet, and that's the effort that Lawrence and Ahmed are going through, that becomes inconvenient. And so I'd like to propose maybe that we move away from this. I don't think it is saving us time to have it centrally defined. And it might be getting in, I know it's getting in Lawrence's way. And it might, if we need to change it centrally, it might introduce risk to the rest of the project, because many other workflows would start to fail immediately. There's a number of maintainers that I'm seeing head nods from, like, yeah, that makes sense. And does that sound like a bad idea to anyone? The proposal is to move away from defining the version in a secret, and instead just defining the version inside of the workflows themselves. As a matter of fact, I think we're sort of haphazardly sometimes use a secret and maybe sometimes not. And so that probably adds credence to the proposal to just get away from the secret and just explicitly define the version here.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. Or maybe like, I think also if we make it a repo level script, that also works. Like,
yeah. Lawrence, do you recall where this secret is, or it was, if it's still used in the workflows?
I think we can search for like the secrets.go version.
Okay.
I don't think I changed it in this PR.
Oh, okay.
So
Gotcha.
maybe like, yeah.
Okay. Well, okay. I guess so. Unless somebody feels strongly that we should go to each repo and define it in each repo, that we would just define it in the PR itself. Because it will still have the same effect. If you define it per repo as a secret, you're still going to immediately affect all the tests and other things that are being done on the active pull requests before the project might be ready to actually switch. So
I think, yeah, and then we need to like in place we then need to just hard, because yeah, as you said, we're already like in some place the hard coding it, so they're not consistent.
So Lawrence, I think, not hearing any other perspectives, Lawrence, I think the thing is anywhere that you see secrets.go.version that you would displace this reference with the actual value 1.23.
Okay.
Last time I used those words with you, I said anywhere that you see the word successfully, you can remove it. And you executed on that. Thank you. Although I should have specified that anywhere that you see the word successfully inside of an alert to a user or inside of an error code, that's where we want to eliminate the word successfully. But if in a README or something, someone says to successfully run the project, like we can leave the word successfully. Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
Nice. Good. Other items to cover here, Lawrence?
Nope, that's all I got.
Okay. Hamed, I'm curious, is that conversation at all helpful to you and the effort with respect to Meshery adapters?
Yeah, I have a similar PR and another adapter that has that secret thing. It's just waiting for a review.
Okay. Oh, got you. Okay. So in that case, I think the same thing stands that wherever you see this reference, you can displace it with the actual 1.23 value. That might help but
Yeah, seems wise.
as soon as, by the way, just so that you guys are aware, as soon as your first PR lands within a given repo, no longer will that semi-annoying approval be needed for running the workflows. You won't have to ask to have the workflow run it. It'll just run. And that's a behavior that GitHub has. But so that's the good news about getting that first PR per repo done. So other items on this topic of Golang upgrade. Ahmed, do we have a PR for Meshery adapter library? That becomes key. Well, if we haven't done this one yet, we'll want to knock this one out as one of the first ones with respect to adapters, Ahmed. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Nice. Okay. Hey, we're a little bit over the hour. Did we miss anything from anyone that needed to give an update or had a question today? Got a couple of items that might spill over to next week. And by the way, that doesn't mean you need to wait a week, but that just means come find people or go message about it in the discussion forum or in Slack, any which way. But speaking of next week, I think next Wednesday is Christmas. And for those that recognize that holiday, well, maybe we should send out an email to confirm whether or not Meshery dev meeting is being hosted on that day. For my part, I'll be out that day, but that's just for my part. So I'll take an action just to go send an email and confirm with other community managers and maintainers. Okay, great. And then do we have one more question, Ayan?
Can we please take a look on the deprecated pattern command at the end of the document? I have a BR open. No, up.
Up.
Yeah. I just change it every occurrence of
Oh yeah,
pattern to design.
that's very helpful.
Yeah. It's just
Yeah,
because this BR, another BRs depends on it to run their workflow successfully. Sure.
totally. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Just waiting for a quick review.
Yeah, thanks. I don't think that there's anything more to that, or like none of the subsequent the subcommands or the parameters should have changed. So I think yeah, like this is what is needed. So
I just also changed the that seam-wise.
yeah,
Like,
if you would in
Mm.
yeah, in Meshery docs for the CLI reference, is that the one that you're referring to?
I'm just asking if is it okay if I just eliminated every design to
Yeah, every pattern with replacing with design. Yeah.
yeah, just eliminate pattern. Is it okay?
Yeah, please. Yep. It's been squashed. It's been replaced like much of us will be with AI. Oh, I mean, it's been replaced. So yeah, you can do it pervasively across many, all the repos. That's really helpful. Uh, and it's yeah, and it's been updated here, but if it hadn't been, or if you find other references to Meshery CTL pattern, I guess, but yeah, but just like you just said, wherever you find them, they would need to be replaced, particularly if the documentation didn't call it out. So
Okay.
that's great. By the way, I think I might have confused a couple of folks. Wait a second. Is the gentleman that goes by this handle, this is not Ahmed, this is, or is this Ahmed?
It's just for simplicity. My name is Ahmed Hindawi, so Dev Hendo, the last name.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Abbreviated. You just can call me Hendo if
Hindu.
it's more
Okay.
easy. Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Thanks.
found it
Okay.
easier.
Can you
Okay.
tell that I'm struggling? Okay, thanks. Yeah. Nice. Great. Yeah. Okay. No, then I didn't have it confused. That yeah, this is you. All right.
Yeah,
Great.
that's
Perfect.
me.
Okay. Oh, this is great. Thanks a bunch, everybody, for joining today. We'll make sure that we post the link to today's recording in case people want to come back and do end-to-end testing. So, all right. Have a good week. Hey, if I don't see you, Merry Christmas. Have a nice Christmas.